Photography means to me the ability to do what I want to do. I mean, it actually is quite self-involved. I think photography has a lot of values socially and artistically and so forth and so on. Those are assumptions. I mean, I think we can assume that that's true. But I think we all want to have good lives. We want to have lives that we enjoy, we're doing what we want to do, and not too many people have the ability to do that in their work. And that's what photography's given me. I travel, I meet people, I've learned a lot, I've had fun, I've had a range of experiences and things that I've done in my life that have been amazing. Most of what I do, I love to do. It's not easy, and for years I certainly questioned whether I could do it or whether it was interesting. But looking back, I think I did okay in terms of that. If job satisfaction is the criteria, I would say I have a high degree of it. Today there are a lot of people teach photography, but when I was around there weren't that many photographers, not photographers who were doing what we call art photography today. But the teacher that I really loved was Harry Callahan. He was a funny guy in that, for me, because although I loved him dearly and he was so important to me as a teacher, I probably didn't have more than a dozen conversations with him, and I remember every one of them. And I remember when I was there early on and questioning myself. I knew history, I didn't know art, I didn't have good ideas and this and that and the other thing. And I said, basically the question that's asked to me as a teacher all the time, what can I photograph? What should I do? I mean, I was asking what to do. And he said to me, well, what do you like to do anyway? I mean, without a camera, what do you do? What, for your spare time, for your fun, for your passion? And I said, well, I like to listen to music. I like horse racing. I like the Red Sox. He said, well, shoot that stuff. And then he said, the thing you got to remember is it's not what you shoot so much, but it's how well you do it.
Throughout photography, there have been a number of documentary photographers who've looked at, passing scenes or worlds that are on the verge of being lost, from Auger to the Beckers, and there is that sensibility with Henry too, in the way that his original intellectual interest in history became transposed into photography, and he realized that it was a tool to portray scenes or cultures that might be lost otherwise, creating this visual record. And he chose scenes that he also had this very strong obsessive delight in.
I think the perspective that Henry brings is really important because it shows the story of lots of people across America and subcultures. It's not just Main Street. It's a broader picture of America than I think a lot of photographers aim for. When you look at Henry's pictures, you see a different kind of portrait than what you yourself would make. There's this interesting dynamic in the Close Relations series where you feel like the photographer is both present and is also an observer at the same time. There's this tension that exists there. And I think that tension probably exists in a lot of families. And so those photographs of close relations speak to many of us.
Finally, after making this arc from a kind of home album sort of photography and portraiture to documentary portraiture to this kind of formal, more graphic, sculptural photography, he comes full circle back to a documentary subject with his work that's in the book Show. But in Show, it brings all of that together.
For me, being a photographer is about the pictures, obviously, but it's really about a life. And the people that I photograph, the subjects I photograph, what I do is all a part of that. It's not simply the pictures. So out of these projects, maybe I'll learn a lot about something. When I photographed the animals, that was definitely true. maybe I have friends in that world. That's true of the burlesque and the show pictures, and also true of the racing pictures and the country music pictures. And so I have, it's a way to connect with other people and connect to other worlds. And as much as I like art, as much as I like photography, that's what I do, it's my life. I like other things too, and I like people who do other things.